smoothly. We are recruited to exactly what we need to meet the demands of the market. We are developing new propositions, and we are upskilling our internal all of our people to ensure that we can meet the demands and the client needs. I also create quite a lot of the tooling sets that we use in a lot of our consulting engagements. I'm aligned primarily to the energy and utilities practice. However, I operate across transport, government, and consumer manufacturing. I'm an ethical hacker by trade from the University of Abertay, Dundee. And prior to my time here at PA, I sold my soul to a defence contractor, Lockheed Martin, to work on operational technology for my sins. So that's a bit about me. James?
Sure. So I'm James Gibbons. I'm a consultant analyst here at PA. So I'm fairly new. I've only been here a few months so far. So my background, I come from both a engineering and a cybersecurity background. So prior to this, I was working in a security operations center. So I was getting very hands-on with malware and logs and different systems. But before that, I was actually working in the solar power industry, doing that over in Australia, where they have more sun than we do, and more involved in getting the systems up and running, making sure they're compliant with the grid requirements, things like that. So by trade, I did electrical and electronic engineering. I did that down in UCL. So although I'm based in Manchester, you can probably hear, I'm not from here. I'm actually from Devon, so I'm more from the West Country.
Thank you. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to give you a quick run through of PA as a whole, and then give you a breakdown of our digital trust cybersecurity department. And then further than that, we'll give you an idea of the operational technology capability that I head up and the type of work we do and what our interest is from the students. And then after that, James is going to deliver a talk that he delivered for B-Sides London last year on the Attack Defend MITRE framework. Phil, just out of curiosity, do I have permissions to present in this? I do actually. Let me just, here we go. And let me put that on slideshow. And that is the wrong screen. Technology has failed. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yep, we can see that.
Brilliant. Okay, so welcome, PA Consulting. So what we are an innovation and transformation consultancy. We do a lot of work across strategy, technology, innovation, and what we do is we create a lot of opportunity from complexity for our clients. We have quite a diverse team of experts across the firm. We're very innovative and forward-thinking. We believe in thinking quite outside the box and sometimes looking back at the box, tearing it up and putting it back together again. We have a global reach. We're about 3,500 strong and growing. We are planning on quadrupling our size in the next 5 years. So we are on a very, very large, aggressive growth strategy. And our majority shareholder, who is Jacobs Engineering, the big US firm, they have helped us grow and will continue to grow over the next few years. Our revenue that's completely changed from there. It's about 750 million now a year. We have 12 core capabilities, and we work across 9 industry sectors, and we operate in 17 city locations, and we have about 19 offices across the world. We prize ourselves on our values and our commitments. So we're inspired by adding client value. We want to ensure that we create visible and sustained value for our clients in everything that we do. We're very passionate about our people. I'll get on to that a bit later, where we ensure we are selling our people. We would be nothing about our great people. So we actually need to ensure that they are trained and developed as high as they can. So we do invest in training and upskilling quite a lot here at PA. We prize ourselves on our ethical approach. We always strive on integrity and honesty to do the right thing, not just the easy thing. So our clients will come to us with a problem. They may think they have the answer, and we will tell them you don't actually have the answer. You may think you need a solution A, but really you need solution B. And it might cost them a bit more, it might cost them a bit less, but at the same time, we want to come away and say we did the right thing for them. And that's a lot of the time why a lot of people come back to us. We always seek to excel. We're continuously seeking and continually learning and enhancing our abilities, and we are very ambitious to grow, as I alluded to earlier with our growth strategies, and we love creating commercial success. Our 9 industry sectors, so we have consumer and retail, defense and security, energy and utilities, where James and we wear the energy and utilities hat, financial services, government and public services, healthcare, life sciences, manufacturing, and transport, travel, and logistics. We wear 2 hats. James and I wear a digital trust and cybersecurity hat, and then we each have another hat which we called our go-to-market, our GTM hat, and that is energy and utilities. You could come and join us, and you could be cybersecurity capability aligned, but you could be aligned to the consumer and retail. You could be aligned to defense and security, healthcare, life sciences, and that's all based on how you come across in interview, and also what your aspirations and goals are and where you want to build your career. So we won't just dump you into something. Let's say you've had some aspirations to go into defense and security or work on the new UK space regulation op. We won't just then go and dump you into manufacturing, because it just wouldn't work and it's not really fair on you. Alluding to earlier, our 12 core capabilities, in green, cyber security and digital trust. We also have AI and automation, operational excellence, transformation and design, very big product design and engineering department. We have our global innovation and technology office up in Royston, just outside Cambridge, and that is where all of our experts and scientists all sit, and we basically can take our clients' ideas from conceptual design through to reality. We've had quite a notable number of engagements in the past. So if any of you are familiar with the robotic Land Rovers for the defence, for the UK Armed Forces, after the past wars through the 80s to 2000, and whenever we then went to Afghanistan, the armed forces came to us with a problem and said, we want to be able to clear road mines, but we don't want to have to put our people in harm's way. So we took the project on board, and we actually realized that the armed forces had quite a large surplus of snatch Land Rovers sitting down in some supply yards across the UK, and there was thousands and thousands of them. So what we did is we decided, well, how about we create a system that a Land Rover gets towed behind an actual armed unit, and then whenever they want to clear the road, they take out a controller, they unhook the Land Rover from behind, and then the Land Rover turns into a remote control car with a minesweeping unit on the front, and then it basically goes in front of the road and clears the mines. The beauty about that is you can just continuously have Land Rovers in tow. So unfortunately, when they do get blown up, you're only blowing up the hardware. You're not actually causing any loss of life. So that's one notable solution that we've come up with on the defense and security side, which is still in operation today. If any of you are yachting enthusiasts or water racing enthusiasts, Sir Ben Ainsley, Land Rover Bar, they came to us whenever they wanted to help us win the latest cup in the last few years. So we came up with IoT devices that we put all around his racing boat, and it was able to feed back quite a lot of telemetry and pitch and yaw data from the boat, and then also using wearables from the entire team to drive efficiencies to help them actually win the race. So that's another solution that we've actually put in place. And we have many more, and you can go onto our website and see all of the innovative solutions that we've put in place for our clients. Some, unfortunately, we can't talk about due to security clearances, but they are actually really, really good. So now moving down into the cybersecurity and digital trust department, we have about 10 sub capabilities. Operational technology security on the bottom left, the one I head up. Others, data privacy, if you're into that, risk and compliance, e-discovery, incident response. We have penetration testing teams. We have a very large cloud and architecture team. And across these 10 sub capabilities, we offer this digital trust model. We call it the revolver, but I don't think we're actually meant to call it that. And it all starts with understanding the digital risk, and this is where we'd actually go in and do the likes of current state assessments, threat identification, risk management, health checks to actually understand the current and target state of what we're dealing with. We then move into the protect phase, which is all about implementing fixes. So in here, we would build governance, policy, procedures, staff training, awareness, build brand new secure architecture solutions. And we also do some penetration testing and secure coding reviews here as well. We would then move around to the response. So this is all about putting your monitoring and response and alerting capabilities in place. We can design SOCs. We can help retrofit them. We can design cyber monitoring for quite a lot of architectures within the industrial control system space that is moving to a more edge computing within ICS SCADA and also hybrid model up to the cloud. Behavioral monitoring solutions, and we can develop a full incident response capability, no problem. And then we move around to exploiting the value of our information. And this is where we would take, PA has a product called the Oak Door. It is a hardware data diode, and it was originally developed for the NCSC. It's our own proprietary IP technology, and we now sell this on the market alongside other data diodes in out there. It is considerably cheaper than what you would buy from the likes of an IBM or equivalent, and it also comes with what we would sell as a support arrangement from our experts. It's very good. And we sell quite a lot of these into the OT ICS space because they are a fantastic way of getting data from the high trust side to a low trust side to do things like monitoring. You can then transfer patches from a low trust side into a high trust side with high integrity. So then you don't have to put things like a sheep dip machine in. They are very, very good. Those are only 2 use cases. There are many, many more. We move now into our OT and ICS security capability. So I'm not sure how familiar you all are with this, but in a nutshell, OT, ICS, pick your flavor of terminology, SCADA, DCS, they are everywhere. They're probably running the air conditioning units in the lecture hall that you're currently sitting in. They are computers that run physical processes, and those need to be controlled and monitored. A cyber attack against these sort of systems, whilst a cyber attack on an IT system has loss of data and confidentiality, a cyber attack on these systems impedes the availability and the integrity of the information. Confidentiality is not really an issue because control system data is quite transient. So you'd need to actually capture quite a lot of it to actually make use of what it is. And a lot of the times it's just input and output ladder logic communications. Nonetheless, these systems need to be even more secure than IT because unfortunately, if you were to carry out a successful cyber attack on them, you do have the ability to cause major disruption and harm, and even worse, loss of life. You could endanger people's lives with this, especially if you go mucking around with pressurized pipelines in the oil and gas sector, or even start mucking around with the likes of nuclear systems, the likes of Sellafield. The key industries that we work across, so we work across energy, the whole end-to-end electricity infrastructure from generation through to transmission distribution, oil and gas, smart energy and metering, water, civil nuclear. We're starting to breach into the renewable space now, doing a lot with wind, especially now with the whole move to renewable energy and energy transition. We are seeing some clients come to us about geothermal and how they can retrofit their kit to now include geothermal capabilities and monitoring. So a lot of companies, especially like Shell and BP, are turning around and saying, well, we have our oil and gas kit that's coming to the end of life. There will be some assets that still need to go on because we still need oil to create certain products in the world. However, we also want to bolster our new wind turbines, our geothermal springs into these control systems so that we're not spending huge amounts of money and we can reuse the kit that was once controlling the oil and gas assets to control a lot more, because these legacy equipment, although it is old, it's very, very robust. Unfortunately, that's can't say the same about its security, which is why we're here. We also work across transport, aviation, rail, maritime, and road. Autonomous vehicles is coming up a lot. And then on top of that is the wider critical infrastructure. We speak a variety of standard and regulatory languages, 62443 mostly, NIST-CSF, the Network and Information Systems regulation that came out last year, Oil and Gas 86, which collaboration between the North Sea and Norway. We do speak the ISO languages, and some of us even speak 61508 to 15, which is electricity protocol with Goose. We have done a lot of work. We've got probably now 22 years of experience. I'm not going to go around the entire track record because this certainly isn't it. We've, in the past 22 years, our team has done about 120 assignments across all of those key industries. There is the opportunity to work at a strategic level with government, with the likes of Department of Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, where you could be helping design the new next generation of control system frameworks for an electricity sector or the transport sector. You could be out doing assessments on actual kit. So you could be coming with me to the likes of Oman to actually do some work on the power sector or the oil and gas or utilities. You could find yourself up in Aberdeen working with some oil and gas companies. You could find yourself working on renewables. You could be helping secure new transportation systems. You could be doing risk assessments on anything. There's lots and lots to do. We work at all ends of the spectrum, from strategic level, speaking to senior management and C-level management, all the way down to system engineer. There is lots that you can do and get involved with, and we do want you to do that because it's very important within the OT security industry that you can be able to talk at all levels. We have a toy that sits down in our GITC at Cambridge. So this is the ICS demonstrator. I helped build this. We built this for a nuclear client a few years ago, and it is basically just replicating a small, simple control system controlling the cooling feed for a nuclear power plant. It's got Allen Bradley PLC in the background. It's got its little board. It's got its syslog monitoring server on the screen on the right, the attacker's laptops in the middle, and then the left-hand side's the HMI in the control room. And what we do is we take this to events. We have our clients come to the GITC, or we actually take it to conferences, and we also take it to our clients, and we hack it live in front of them. And that could be just as part of an awareness thing to show how, if you don't get the basics right of ICS SCADA 101, these are the impacts that you could be seeing. And people love lights and sound and bits of kit and things they can actually, tangible things that they can see. We also build this into our incident response training awareness. So we'll take people through the entire incident response life cycle, and as part of that, we'll actually have the demo rig in the background showing them, you see this, we're doing this, you haven't caught on to it yet, you think all is green across the board. Meanwhile, your core temperature of your reactor is going up above the thresholds because we've just rewrote the registers and coils in your PLC using off-the-shelf technology. And it sort of brings everything more to life. So it is a really, really good tool. And we're currently in the process of scoping out a baby brother for it, which will be something in a bit of a Peli case, more virtualized. So that's a very whistle-stop tour about what we do and what we're capable of. There's a lot of information on our website. If you wanted to know more, you just go to PA Consulting. You then go across to the capabilities, digital trust, and then go down to operational technology or IoT security if you want to have a look. More about the role. So we are interested in speaking to people from cybersecurity degrees and who are interested in pursuing a career within ICS SCADA or industrial IoT or generic IoT security. It's not a problem because the two capabilities sit side by side under our boss, Justin. Whilst it's not mandatory, it would be highly advantageous if you're able to understand process control, SCADA, distributed control, PLCs, R2s, if you could actually understand what a process control network looks like, what are the risks, what are the difference between the IT environments and the OT environments, how you would handle them, generally how you would perform sort of risk management, the difference in the architectures, security monitoring, the challenges that you have, and then also any security standards relating to the sector. So the NCSC's NIS guidance and CAF that was released, NERC SIP, but that's more of an American standard, but certainly NIST CSF and IEC ISO 99624443. Another requirement, you need to have the right to live and work in the UK to actually get through the HR meeting. Unfortunately, due to the nature of the work that our team does, you will need level 2. So you need the right to live and work in the UK to actually come on board. What we are looking for from you, we want you to be creative, flexible, be analytical, and be able to solve problems. You work together as well as part of a team. You're good at collaborating with colleagues and clients at all level. And we want you to be able to inspire and influence the people coming in under you to be role models, because ultimately you will move up as your career develops and you get promoted. People will come under you and they will start to look at you for the answers. And we want you to be thirsty to achieve your goals, and we want you to be driven and be able to stretch yourself and demonstrate determination, because it's really important. The qualifications, this is an old slide. You don't actually need a 2-1 anymore or a minimum of 300 UCAS points, so you can just completely scrap that off the side of the slide. That's no problem. If you want any more information, you're more than happy to reach out to me directly at dan.mosca@paconsulting.com. I'll be sending this slide pack over to Phil as a PDF so he can disseminate around you, just in case there was anything that you missed. I'm happy to have any further chats with prospective candidates, as well as receive CVs directly. It's not a problem. Very quickly, going back to some of the work that we've done, we actually wrote the control system guide, that the UK manual for UK government about 10 years ago. It's our team. We wrote the Bible. We actually know this stuff quite well, and now quite a lot of critical national infrastructure clients follow it. We also we've been working with BP. It was only meant to be a 2-year project, and it ended up being 14 years long. We assessed the security posture of about 400 of its sites worldwide. We risk assessed it all. We created a very, very large improvement program, which then took BP from where it was back then to where it is now, and it is seen as the biggest global player in security. They won awards for the programs. They are seen as the best program, that they're the best in class whenever it comes to OT cybersecurity within the oil and gas sector, which we're very proud of to be able to say externally. That was a very whistle-stop tour. I'm now going to hand over to James to be able to give his talk, because I know I've maybe taken a bit more time than I should have. We can take some questions at the end, and then if not, I'm happy to be reached out by email, no problem at all. James, over to you.
Perfect, thank you. So let me share my screen. Perfect. Can everyone see my screen? Presentation. Yep. Perfect. There we go. Okay. So yes, I'm going to give you a quick overview of some of the different MITRE frameworks. So there's attack, defend, engage, and more. So first, a quick intro to MITRE. MITRE are a not-for-profit US government-funded corporation. Their mission statement is solving problems for a safer world, and they work in areas such as AI, healthcare, transport, space, and cybersecurity. As mentioned, they have several cybersecurity frameworks, and they also manage the Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures CVE database. Fun fact, MITRE.org was the first ever .org domain name, so they've been around a very long time. First then, let's go to their attack framework, available at attack.mitre.org. This is the one they're most well known for. You probably can't see it well. As you can see, it's pretty big. On about version 10 right now, been in the works for many years. Attack is a matrix of tactics and techniques used by threat actors when attacking a system. So the top level are the tactics, below are the techniques. And if there's the little gray box, it means there's sub-techniques. You can click the little gray box and it gives you a long list of sub-techniques. Now, I said you can't see all the individual tactics right now, but these are what they are: reconnaissance, resource development, initial access, execution, persistence, privilege escalation, defense evasion, credential access, discovery, lateral movement, collection, command and control, exfiltration, and impact. So you can see this works effectively as a kill chain, which we'll get to a bit later. So let's pick one just to learn more. In this case, you can't really see it, but it's command and scripting interpreter. So this is one of the techniques in the attack framework. So you can see there's a number of sub-techniques, gives you some information about what it is. If you scroll down, you can see procedure examples. This is examples of who has been seen to use it. So several APTs, advanced persistent threats, normally government agencies, as well as which software things such as Banduc and Bonadan, which those are actual software packages. There's also possible mitigations, things you can do to stop this causing problems, such as code signing. So you can only allow signed scripts to run, and ways you can detect it. For example, if you have logging of all commands that are logged, and then you have an alert based on the command. So I mentioned there's different groups that are recorded in the database. For example, APT37. It's one of my favorite. They're from North Korea, part of the Lazarus group. And if you go into their page, it gives you, again, information who they are, different names they have. There's different cybersecurity agencies give different attributions, different names to them, as well as a long list of different techniques they've been seen to be using in the wild. And below it also provides the software they've been found to use. So some, such as Blue Light, are ones that they've developed in-house, only used by them. Others, such as Cobalt Strike, very well known, off the shelf, used by a whole long list. And as you can see, Cobalt Strike is a very, very powerful tool. So if you haven't seen it already or heard it, Lazarus Heist is a BBC World Service podcast all about how the Lazarus Group, just again, North Korea, APT37, both hacked Sony Pictures as well as hacked into the Bank of Bangladesh and almost stole $1 billion. They were stopped at the last minute due to an accidentally stopped, but it's a very, very worthwhile podcast to listen to. So back to them, let's look at the actual software, because the attack framework also gives guidance on the different software. Cobalt Strike, this is the Cobalt Strike page. Again, information what it is, all the different techniques that it is capable of doing, as well as, again, groups that have been found to use the software. So everything kind of links together. And again, you can see Cobalt Strike is used by a lot of different groups, and this list is not exhaustive. So there's other attack frameworks as well. This is a special attack framework for mobile devices. So you can see it's set out in a similar way, except the actual techniques are different because it's for mobile devices, such as lateral movement, attacking a PC via USB connection, or things such as device lockout, deleting device data. So these are purely for mobile. There's also, relevant to us, attack for ICS, industrial control systems. Again, it looks quite similar, but if you look at the right-hand side, there's two different tactics that are not in the normal attack frameworks. In this case, inhibit response function and impair process control. Now, this is one way IT and OT differ. Because OT, operational technology, is controlling physical moving devices and safety equipment, there's a lot more that can potentially go wrong. For example, inhibit response function has things such as alarm suppression. Now, that's obviously a very bad thing if an alarm should be going off because something's on fire, and it's not. There's also impaired process control. So this is affecting the actual controllers that are moving the motors or adjusting the sensors. So again, it can cause things to go bang and actual loss of life. For example, we can look at modified parameter. And again, some more information, examples and mitigation. So this is, for example, changing the speed of a motor. And you can imagine how that can cause problems. One very famous example is Stuxnet. So again, more information on this. You can see it did a long list of techniques. This list does go down if you scroll down. So this was thought to be created by the Israeli and US agencies to attack Iran's nuclear centrifuges to stop them creating nuclear weaponry. Again, if you want to learn more about Stuxnet, I highly recommend this book, Countdown to Zero Day by Kim Zetter. Really fascinating read and scary because Stuxnet was possibly the first, at least the first well-known ICS-specific piece of malware. So the second matrix is the defend matrix. Now, this only came out last year, so this one's still in beta version 0.10 as of right now, but created by MITRE, the same kind of team. It's set up in the same way as attack, so with tactics, techniques, and technique subclasses. Now, both techniques and technique subclasses can also be called countermeasures. Now, where attack is based on things that an attacker would do, defend is about what a defender can do to defend against said attacks. So you can see there's things like hardening, analysis, monitoring, decoys, isolating and evicting attack from your network. Let's do a bit of a deep dive. So you can pick strong password policy, mainly because it's easy for me to explain. We all know what a password is, hopefully. So we have the strong password policy page here. Again, it's still a work in progress, so it's going to grow in time. At the top, you have some basic information, what it is, how it works, things to consider when implementing, in this case, a strong password policy, digital artifacts, which I'll get to in a minute. Also, how it relates to the attack framework. So it looks like MITRE want to combine the attack and defend framework or create strong links between the two to aid, make the frameworks easier to use. So you can see a strong password policy affects creating accounts, account manipulation, and valid accounts. And at the bottom, the defend framework, each countermeasure has references. These could be guidelines, white papers, web articles, patents, anything that can give you an idea on how to actually implement the countermeasure. In this case, NIST Special Publication 863.3, which is 75 pages on how to create a strong password. So back to the top, digital artifact relationships. So strong password policy is the countermeasure, which you can see it strengthens the artifacts of password and user account. Artifacts are indicators of compromise or observables, simple things that can just give you an idea of what's happened. If we look at password, we have some very basic information. It's a subclass of credential. Now, credential has a lot more information, so you can see there's other subclasses. It relates to access tokens, session cookies, as well as different countermeasures you can do, such as decoy users, decoy cookies, one-time passwords, and again, how it links to the attack framework with a long list of offensive techniques. This is the total list of artifacts. As of right now, there's about 230 of them. They're split into top-level artifacts, things like commands, credentials, clipboards, files, emails, documents, network traffic, and software. So attack and defend, as I keep mentioning, can be used together. In the the defend framework, there's an attack lookup. You can put in your favorite attack, and it gives you a diagram of how the defend countermeasures on the left relate to an attack in the middle and any defend artifacts on the right-hand side. So very useful to tie it all together. The final framework I'm going to discuss is engage.mitre.org. This also came out last year. It's a lot less developed than the others so far. If you look, there's also a lot of repetition. This comes when you want to actually lure an attacker into your system so you can monitor what they're doing by using things like honeypots and honeynets and different ways you can learn what they're doing so you can improve your defenses that way. Now, this would obviously come after you've already got a good system in place. So 3 very quick ideas on how you can use the frameworks. So I come from a blue team, a security operations center background. So I look at things from the defensive perspective, but obviously you can use them as an attacker as well. So you can use it for investigation and threat hunting. Now, as I mentioned, the attack framework is a kill chain. So you can use it to locate and correlate different tools, techniques, and procedures, TTPs. For example, say you have evidence of a phishing email that was used for initial access. Now you notice that that phishing email had an attachment. The next thing you could look at would be execution. In this case, use execution of a malicious file. If evidence of that is found, you can go to the next stage of the attack, which could be persistence, such as a scheduled task. Another way you can use the framework is to test your defenses. So you can pick an attack and simulate it. You can see, was it prevented? Was it detected? Or were you alerted to it? A very good way of doing this is using Red Canary's Atomic Red Team framework, which, as it says, is a library of simple tests that you can use to simulate a whole huge number of these attacks. Most of these attacks have an atomic test. Now, this can be done manually through a PowerShell framework. There's a Linux-based one, and the Atomic Operator, which is a new Python-based framework for running. So it's a one-click to run a test. I use this a lot in my previous role within the Security Operations Center to make sure our monitoring and alerting tools were successfully doing what they're supposed to be doing. And a third final way is to audit your defenses. So this, you can use the Defend framework almost as a checklist. You can work through and see, are you following the recommendations? Are there any new countermeasures you can implement? And is everything documented? Because you will get audited. For example, you're working through application hardening, you've eliminated dead code, exception handler pointer validation is done, and you get to process segment execution prevention. You look into that, go to the references, and you find there's a manual by Microsoft about enabling data execution prevention on Windows 10, as well as a web article by Red Hat on enabling the no execute and execute disabled bits. So check the countermeasures, make sure you're good. So again, that was a very quick run through. In summary, they provide knowledge bases on offensive and defensive techniques and their relationships with threat actors, software, mitigations, and a lot more. It's useful for the red team, the blue team, or even the purple team, and they apply to IT, OT, and mobile devices. It's all actionable, it provides references, and you can use it alongside other guides such as the CIS controls and frameworks such as NCSC's Cyber Assessment Framework. So it's constantly being improved, covers a lot of area. I definitely recommend, if you're not up to speed on the MITRE frameworks, get in touch, because there's a lot of integrations with software packages, and they're getting very, very popular with companies. That's the end of my part. If I can find a mouse to stop scaring.
Thanks, James.
Excellent. Thank you very much, both. Some really interesting presentations. So if I can open it up for questions. Are there any questions from anyone in the room? Any questions to kick us off?
And I've just put our contact details up on the screen just in case anybody wants to take notes of them.
So, well, if I may, then I'll kick off. I thought it was really interesting hearing about the MITRE attack frameworks, and attack is one in particular which is often used. It was quite interesting to see the defend and engage ones. I was just interested to know how much you use those in your current role.
So far, I haven't used them a huge amount. So as I said, they've only recently come out. They're in beta. So what we'll be doing is taking them to the clients, and obviously they can work through the different frameworks with our assistants, or we can do it for them, to use them alongside, I said, the other frameworks that I mentioned, to see how well they are covering their bases. So one thing with frameworks is they can be quite long and in depth, whereas the defend framework is much more actionable. It's much more broken into the individual useful sections. So what I foresee happening, more especially as the framework develops, because there's a few things missing still, is that we'll work alongside the clients to make sure they are fully covered.
Excellent. No, it's really, really interesting. The defend one, I have to admit, is one I hadn't come across before, so really useful to see. Another question from me, if I may. So for those wanting to get into industrial control systems and actually be able to practice their skill, there are a few things that we're familiar with, such as the graphical realistic framework for ICS, I believe it's called, something along those lines. But is there any advice you've got for students who might want to get into ICS and SCADA, but how can they get practical experience on that?
Yeah, it's a good question, because unfortunately you can't unless there are simulators out there that have been made. It's very difficult to get practical experience. The best way to go about it is start with the theoretical experience and the understanding of how practical sort of tests or investigations would go, and then be able to relate to the knowledge. I think it's Idaho Labs through the Department of Homeland Security. They offer a full suite of free training courses. I think there's about 11 modules that you can actually do and run through, and it'll take you through sort of like a mini introduction to control system course, and would get you up to speed with certain techniques and abilities in the industry. So I think that's definitely worth a look. On top of that, if you wanted to actually you can buy these little PLC kits from Wago, WAGO, and you can actually put the little board together, the control system circuit. They come with little Arduino boards and Raspberry Pis, and you can actually create like a simple control system, and then you can actually start to play about with that in a lab-based environment. Outside of that, we would potentially maybe give you guys some kit to play around with if there was aspirations to do that as part of a group project. There's certainly that ability to give students the ability to get down and dirty with a control system piece of kit, and then sort of apply tools and techniques to that.
Excellent, thank you. I mean, I guess other things to think about, this is speaking from my own experience here, things like OpenPLC, which is a fantastic platform which you can run on a Raspberry Pi. So just picking up on the comment you made there, Dan, if hypothetically there's a student in the room thinking about their CSCT Masters project and they wanted to go off and do OpenPLC, have a device running, is that something which then, if they wanted some guidance or ideas of where to go from there, they might be able to reach out to PA and say, hey, look, this is a project we're putting together? Of course, we'll be happy for that. We also run sponsored projects with other universities where we provide them the problem and the kit, and they give us the solution and the problem. We give them the full experience of an end-to-end assignment from pitch all the way through to delivery. We provide them live clients, and we actually put them through what they would expect to see on the other side of the graduation line, and then we're able to use the IP because it's a group project. So that's what we do, and we're already running it with some universities here in the UK, and it's working really well. But we're also happy to assist and provide guidance to master's students if they have a problem that they want to speak to. And it might not directly be me that answers the question. We have a team of 13 or 14 here in the OT capability, and then we also have our entire complex system engineering group in America and in Cambridge that can also answer any questions should we not be able to do it. Excellent, that's fantastic. And I mean, it sounds like a really, really good opportunity for those in the room, a really, really good opportunity to be able to get further into this topic area and have the support of industry there. So, there is a question, yep.
Question for you.
Panto?
Question for you.
A question for me?
Yeah, for you.
Go on then.
Yeah, can we consult like a company, our project?
Can you consult a consultant project company in your project? You can reach out. So Dan and James have very kindly provided their emails. So reach out to them, get their input in terms of if you're doing a project in this area. But yes, absolutely, make use of industry links for your final projects. you know, it's the perfect way of being able to demonstrate relevance and, you know, real world skill if you've got links to industry in your projects. So yes. Any other questions? Oh.
Obviously, OSs, PLCs.
Just to repeat that in case you couldn't hear.
No, I couldn't.
Obsolete OSs, PLCs, or networks, which is the biggest problem in your experience?
Networks. Being able to really crappy networks that don't utilize a 3-tier architecture with a DMZ in the middle you're able to basically get to from the to the internet. That's a serious problem, especially now that you've got the likes of Shodan kicking around, and then the program called Autosploit. So imagine if Shodan and the Metasploit libraries had a baby. You can basically, and it's got a graphical user interface latched onto the side. It lowers the skill level required to actually find and load Metasploit libraries to attack control systems from the internet, which is actually very, very scary. So networks for me is the big one. You can unpatched operating systems and obsolete operating systems, yeah, fine, good. But if you've got a really good network behind it, it's very difficult to get at unless you bridge it with ransomware and a USB. PLCs, unless you're actually putting in place PLCs that are above the year 2011, most of them don't actually have any security capability. I think Alan Bradley, in collaboration with Honeywell, was the first to design security monitoring into a PLC. It's very, very expensive equipment to buy, and it all depends on if the asset is coming to its end of life or not. If it was even part of the initial scoping exercise with a vendor when you were going through your functional design phase. So networks is the biggest one. It's the biggest threat that we're seeing.
Excellent, thank you. Right, I think if there's no more questions, we're coming up on time now. So can I ask a round of applause for our speakers today? Thank you ever so much. Excellent, thank you. Dan, James, pleasure to meet you. Thank you for the talk. Dan, I look forward to seeing you at Security next week then.
Yep, I'll send you an email with the PA slides to disseminate round, and it's got our contact details in there should anybody want to reach out.
That's perfect. Thanks ever so much.
Thanks all. Take care.
Enjoy. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.